Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The former top cruiserweight Murat Gassiev will have his first fight at heavyweight against the durable high-level journeyman Joey Dawejko. That will be on July 27th at the College Park Centre in Arlington, Dallas, on the Hooker and Ramirez card. See here, this is the promo for that. That's a unification fight, and this is the first fight between Gassiev and Dawejko that has been announced as part of the undercard. And actually, I don't mind this fight at all for Murat Gassiev, the former unified cruiserweight champion, making his first foray into the heavyweight division. And I know that there has been a number of fans that have been sort of talking down Gassiev's chances at heavyweight. How successful can he be? But I think there's a few things to consider here, because Gassiev, very powerful puncher, very hard hitting. I think he can find a place in the heavyweight division where he can get some pretty decent wins depending on the matchups. If he's matched against guys like Alexander Usyk, who clearly ran rings around him in the World Boxing Super Series final about a year ago, then he will have a tough time. But let's face it, the heavyweight division is not filled with guys that can box rings around you for all 12 rounds like Alexander Usyk can. Him and a couple of others like Tyson Fury, they are the exception, not the rule. A lot of the guys in the heavyweight division, even within the top 30, they will stand in front of you. They sometimes won't give you a lot of head movement, and they are there to be hit. And that can be evidenced by, a lot of fights that we've seen where guys just get knocked out. Some guys can keep it up for a while, but they gas, they tire, they run out of steam, and they get taken out. So I'm not discounting Murat Gassiev's chances in the heavyweight division at all. I think when you compare him in terms of his physical attributes, in terms of his dimensions, he can sort of slot in there, and I expect he'll end up being a top 20 guy. Whether he can go further than that, we'll have to see. Obviously, it's early days, but a guy who's 6'3.5" with a 76-inch reach, that's actually not too terrible in the heavyweight division. It's not the greatest, but he can certainly, with his power, that can be an equalizer in the heavyweight division, as we've seen. And he was obviously draining himself down, boiling himself down to get down to the cruiserweight limit of 200 pounds. If we can see him settling in at the weight, looking comfortable, I think he can be quite a handful for a number of guys. There's quite a few heavyweights, even within the top 20, that if you put Gassiev in with, I think he could beat them, or at least give them a very tough fight. And in his first fight against Joey Dawejko on July 27th on that Hooker and Ramirez unification, it's a good sort of ease him into the division type of fight. And it's not quite a gimme as well, because Joey Dawejko, very tough, very durable. He's going to give Murat Gassiev some rounds. And if Gassiev was able to stop him, that really would be a statement, because Dawejko has never been stopped in a traditional sense. There's one TKO loss on his record, but that was from a retirement against Charles Martin a number of years ago. But they don't call him the tank for nothing. He's very hard to stop. And actually, in Joey Dawejko's last fight, which was against Sergey Kuzmin, a majority decision loss, you could probably argue he was very hard done by in that fight. He actually boxed a pretty decent fight. He made Sergey Kuzmin, an up-and-coming sort of fringe contender, look decidedly average. And albeit that Kuzmin hurt his hand in that fight, he didn't actually put up a great showing. And Dawejko, in the eyes of many, won that fight. And as well, with Joey Dawejko at the moment, off the back of this talk of Anthony Joshua sparring rumours and that he may or may not have knocked him out in sparring, the interest in Joey Dawejko at this point in his career is probably higher than it has been at any time in his career. So to pitch him in with a guy like Murat Gassiev for his first fight after this sort of Joshua talk, it actually is a good move by Eddie Hearn here to capitalise on what interest is in Dawejko at the moment. So Murat Gassiev, is he going to win this one? Well, I think he probably can. If he can use his height and reach, he's got about 5 inches of height on Dawejko, maybe 6. It's sort of hard to, Joey Dawejko says he's 5'10" on a good day, and he's got about a 6-inch reach advantage over Dawejko. So if he keeps it long, to an extent, I'm not expecting that for the entire fight. I think Gassiev will look to trade with him at times. But if he can do what sort of Bryant Jennings did when he fought Joey Dawejko, he took Dawejko to a decision. But it was one of those fights where it was competitive, but it wasn't competitive on the scorecards because Bryant Jennings, behind his height and reach advantages, was able to work to a decision relatively comfortably enough, in a sort of lopsided decision on the cards, but it was a relatively competitive fight in spots within the fight. So I think, we will see something similar. I think it's a bit of a feeling out process. He's going to utilize the height and the reach, but expect Gassiev to be looking to unload his power punches. And this is a really good test for him, a good feeling out process. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of resistance Joey Dawejko can put up, because as we saw against Sergey Kuzmin, he's coming to fight. He's not coming to lay down. And it's not going to be some sort of gimme fight for Murat Gassiev. And if he does lapse, Joey Dawejko will take advantage. He'll take rounds. And if you're not good enough, sometimes the gate is closed and someone like Joey Dawejko can get a victory. So even though his record, which if you see here on screen, 19-7-4, it's not exactly, stellar, but he's fought a lot of top opposition in his career. And Jarrell Miller, he has a draw against Jarrell Miller. That's that one draw on Miller's record. Arguably, he beat Sergey Kuzmin in many people's eyes, but you see a number of top fighters here. You've got Andrei Fedosov, Bryant Jennings, Amir Mansour, Charles Martin, Jarrell Miller. He's been in with, a veritable who's who, especially on the American boxing scene. But Dawejko, he can fight, he will come to fight, and I do like this as an opener for Murat Gassiev, who I do think will win, and I would sort of lean towards a decision just because Dawejko is so durable. And even though his record sort of belies how good he is, 19-7-4, doesn't sound great, he'll put up a fight and he'll give Murat Gassiev some good work. And I think Gassiev has been written off by a lot of fans, as I mentioned early on, and perhaps unfairly, because you look at the record, 26-1. He's got 19 KOs on the record, 25 years old. There is scope for him to get better. And at heavyweight, which potentially is his natural weight, I think his power will carry up, and potentially he could be even more powerful because he would have been boiling down to make that 200-pound limit. And if you take away the Alexander Usyk performance, where he was dominated by a guy like Usyk, actually his career looked relatively stellar. A guy who had some good wins, Yanir Dorticus, Krzysztof Glowacki, Denis Lebedev. They are some good names. And you take away the Usyk performance, and I think a lot of people would be thinking more highly of Murat Gassiev right now. I expect him to have a pretty decent career at heavyweight. He'll be involved in some good fights, and he's going to get some decent highlight reel knockouts as well. But what do you make of this first fight for Murat Gassiev, and what do you make of his chances at heavyweight? Can he be a guy to sort of crack his way into the top 10, contend for a title? Or do you think he'll be a sort of guy that is sort of on the fringe of the top 20, maybe in or out, depending on different performances? How will he go? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.